was pleased that von Braun and his former Nazi rocket team were now leading the effort for Team America. He had been following the work of myself and my associates in missile development with the greatest interest, von Braun said. World leaders like American President Dwight Eisenhower and the Soviet Union's new premier, Nikita Khrushchev, who eventually ascended to the role after Stalin's death that March, had been born in the 19th century. Kennedy and von Braun were 20th century futurists who understood that time was divided into pre-V2 versus post-V2, pre-Hiroshima versus post-Hiroshima. These powerful weapons of mass destruction had changed the balance of global power. Armies and naval forces could now be wiped out with long-range nuclear missiles. Both Kennedy and von Braun feared that technological progress in America was coming too slowly, and that the Kremlin had already gained the upper hand over the United States in space technology. This fear seemingly became reality on the night of October 4, 1957, when radio operators working at the Naval Research Laboratory in Washington, D.C., picked up a steady A-flat beep from an onboard transmitter. They identified the sound as a signal from a Soviet satellite in Earth's orbit. The device, named Sputnik, traveling companion of the world in Russian, had been launched into orbit aboard a modified intercontinental ballistic missile. It carried equipment to analyze the density and temperature of the upper atmosphere. Amateur astronomers also picked up the signal, and a few of them ran outside and saw the strange object streaking across the skies. The next morning, the Naval Laboratory announced that a Soviet satellite had successfully orbited the Earth. Khrushchev confirmed the report, adding that the weight of this artificial moon was 184 pounds, and its shape was a ball about 22 inches in diameter, with 4 antennas sticking out of it. The satellite orbited the Earth elliptically every 90 minutes at an altitude of 140 to 560 miles. Sputnik was similar to technology on the planning boards of the U.S. Armed Forces. Nevertheless, the Soviets had achieved their feat first. Sputnik stunned millions of Americans, shattering the public assumption that the United States held technological advantage over the Soviet Union. The world was captivated by the polished sphere of aluminum, magnesium, and titanium that had pushed beyond the bounds of Earth, extending the hand of man and changing ideas of what was possible. Without the tension of the Cold War, the Soviet launch might have been celebrated as a scientific accomplishment equal to Marie Curie's discovery of radium or Guglielmo Marconi's invention of the radio. But with so little trust between the two superpowers, many Americans took the Sputnik news like a punch in the nose, rather than a shared human accomplishment. If the Soviets could launch a satellite into space, they reasoned, then maybe they could also destroy parts of the United States with nuclear-armed missiles. Democrats stirred up paranoia for political gain. Many politicians unfairly charged President Eisenhower for being asleep at the wheel. For his part, Kennedy deemed Sputnik a national humiliation and insisted that America needed far stronger ballistic missile and satellite programs if it wanted to beat the Soviets. Senate Majority Leader Lyndon Johnson became the most high-profile Democratic critic. The Roman Empire controlled the world because it could build roads, he said. Later, when men moved to the sea, the British Empire was dominant because it had ships. In the Air Age, we were powerful because we had airplanes. Now the communists have established a foothold in outer space. It seemed as if America was tied down to lonely planet Earth while the Soviet Union was soaring through outer space, reaching for the stars. Johnson's alarmist reaction resounded on Capitol Hill, and is frequently cited by Cold War scholars as the tipping point in the push to create a unified American space program. Despite the criticism, President Eisenhower took the launch in stride. He noted that space had been around a long time, and it wasn't going anywhere. To Eisenhower, it didn't matter who happened to be first to circle the Earth with an artificial moon. He insisted that democracy's superiority over communism didn't need hype or promotion. It spoke for itself. Eisenhower also knew that the U.S. satellite program in late 1957